Act 1 of He and She by Rachel Crothers. Cast of characters. Tom Hereford.
Read by Robert Hoffman.
Anne Hereford.
Read by Capricia Page.
Daisy Hereford.
Read by Ariel Lipshaw.
Millicent.
Read by Libby Gaughan.
Dr. Remington.
Read by Bruce Peary.
Keith Mackenzie.
Read by Chuck Williamson.
Ruth Creel. Read by Amanda Friday. Ellen.
Read by Elizabeth Klett.
Narrated by Amanda Friday. Act 1. Scene: the Hereford studio. The room is in the basement floor of a large old-fashioned house in Lower New York, and shows that it has been made over and adapted to the needs of a sculptor. At right center back are double doors opening into the workroom. At right of these doors is a recess showing it has been cut in. The ceiling of the half of the room which is towards the audience is much higher than the other part, showing that the room which is on the floor above has been used to give height to this part of the studio. The break made in the ceiling is supported by an interesting old carved column, very evidently brought from Italy, and in the overhanging part of the wall is set a very beautiful old Italian frieze in bas relief, a few faded colors showing. At lower left is a large studio window. At lower right is a single door leading into hall. At upper left corner, a cupboard is built in harmony with the construction of the room, and showing, when opened, drawers and compartments for holding sculptor's tools, etc. Before the window at right center is a scaffold built to hold a section of the frieze. At its base is a revolving table holding modeling clay, tools, etc. In front of the scaffold is a short pair of steps. At center is a long table holding rolls of sketches, a desk set, a book or two, pencils, compasses, several pieces of modeling. There are a number of chairs about, and a piece of rich brocade in vivid coloring thrown over the back of one. The room is simple, dignified, beautiful, full of taste and strength. Soft afternoon sunshine streams in from the wide window. Keith Mackenzie and Tom Hereford are lifting one section of a bas relief frieze about 3 by 5 and placing it on the scaffolding. Mackenzie is about 35, tall, good-looking, in a pleasing, commonplace way, also wearing a sculptor's working clothes, but of a practical and not artistic sort. Tom Hereford is 40, a fine specimen of the vigorous American artist type, virile, fresh, alive, and generous in nature and viewpoint. He wears the stamp of confidence and success. Tom, as they lift the frieze.
Come on, there she is. Put her over. No, this way, about half a foot. That's right, there. Let's have a look.
Tom goes down to hanging switch and turns on the light. As he does so, he says,
Wait.
The lights are turned up. Turning to Keith.
What do you think?
It's a great thing, Governor. Going to be a walkaway for you. You'll win it as sure as guns, I know it. I bet you land the $100,000 as sure as you're standing there, Governor.
Oh, I don't know. The biggest fellows in the country are going in for this competition.
Well, you're one of the biggest. I think you're the biggest. And you've turned out the best thing you've ever done in your life.
Going to stand above table.
That's damned nice of you, Mackenzie. It does look pretty good out here, doesn't it?
He goes up on the steps to touch the frieze. Keith, after a pause.
Governor.
Tom, working at his frieze.
I want to ask you something. Not from curiosity, but because I'd like to know for my own sake. You needn't answer, of course, if you don't want to.
Go on, fire away.
Have you ever been sorry that Mrs. Hereford is a sculptor, instead of just your wife?
Not for a minute.
I've been thinking a lot about it all lately.
About you and Ruth, you mean?
Yes. She'll marry me in the fall, if I let her keep on working.
And?
Well, hang it all. I don't want her to. I can take care of her now. At first it was different, when I was grubbing along. But since I've been with you, you've put me on my feet. I'll never be great. I know that all right. But I can take care of her.
Tom, working at Freeze.
But she wants to keep on, doesn't she?
Yes, but...
Good heavens, boy. You're not bitten with that bug, I hope. I want my girl by my own fireside to live for me alone. Why, Ruth Creel's a howling success. The way she's climbed up in that magazine. Why in the name of Christopher do you want her to stop?
Keith, at right end of table, figuring mechanically on some papers on table.
How can she keep on at that, and keep house too?
Well, they do, you know. Somehow.
Oh, Mrs. Hereford's different. She's working right here with you, and her time is her own. But Ruth's tied down to office hours, and it's slavery. That's what it is.
She doesn't think so. Does she?
I want a home. I want children.
Of course, but that doesn't mean she'll have to give up her profession forever.
Oh, I'm strong for women doing anything they want to do, in general. But when it's the girl you love and want to marry, it's different.
It ought not to be.
When you come down to brass tacks...
Anne, coming quickly in from the workroom and stopping as she sees the Freeze.
Oh, Tom.
Anne Hereford is 38, intensely feminine and a strong, vibrating personality which radiates warmth and vitality. She wears a long linen working smock, a soft, rich red in color. Her sleeves are rolled up, and her general appearance shows that she is at work and has stopped only to look at Tom's Freeze.
Looks great out here, doesn't it, Mrs. Hereford? Aren't you more sure now than ever it will win?
Starting to speak and checking herself.
What?
Nothing. Your horses are marvelous, Tom. I wish I could see it all together now. Don't you? The rest of the 20 sections? So we could see how much we feel the running.
Don't you feel it in this piece?
Of course.
I do. Tremendously. I think it's wonderful.
He goes into workroom.
Anne, what were you going to say a minute ago about the Freeze?
I don't know.
Don't hedge. Several times lately you've started to say something and haven't got it out. What is it? Any suggestions?
How do you feel about it yourself, boy? Are you satisfied?
Does that mean you aren't?
I asked you.
Well, it's the best that's in me. Why? What's the matter? You don't like it after all.
Like it? It's a strong, noble, beautiful thing.
But?
Dearest, is it just exactly what your first conception of it was? Has it turned out just as you first felt it?
Why, yes. Well, not absolutely in detail, of course. It's improved a lot, I think, in the working. But in the main, yes, it's just the same. Why do you say that?
You know, of course, but...
Say it, say it. What have you got in your mind?
I don't know that I can. But in the beginning, it had a feeling of swiftness, of rushing, swirling as if your soul were let loose in it, Tom. Too big, too free, to be held in and confined. But somehow now that it's finished...
Go on.
That wild thing has gone out of it. It's crystallized into something magnificent but a little conventional.
Good heavens, Anne, you can't call that conventional.
Well, orthodox then. It's noble, of course, but that inexplainable thing which made it great is gone. For me. Perhaps it's just me, my imagination, because I care so much.
It is imagination. It's much stronger than when I began.
Is it?
Of course. You're trying to put something fantastic into it which was never there at all. That's not me. What I've done, I've got through a certain strong, solid boldness. That's why I think this stands a good chance. It's the very best thing I've ever done, Anne. By all...
Keith, opening the workroom door.
Governor, will you show Guido and me about something, please? Just a minute.
There is a slight pause. Tom looks at the frieze.
I don't see what you mean at all, dear girl. Thanks a lot, but I think you're wrong this time.
He goes into workroom. Anne looks again at the frieze as Ruth Creel comes in from hall. Anne, going quickly to Ruth.
Oh, Ruth, bless you.
She kisses her warmly. I came straight from the office and I'm dirty as a pig. Anne points to Tom's frieze. Is that it? Anne nods. Well?
Oh, Ruth, I'm sick in the bottom of my soul. I hope I'm wrong. I must be wrong. Tom knows better than I do, but I can't help it. I tell myself I'm a fool, and the more I try to persuade myself, the more it comes back. Ruth, it isn't the same. It isn't. Whatever it was that lifted it above good work and made it a thing of inspiration is gone. It's gone. Gone.
Have you told Tom how you feel?
Just this minute. He says I'm wrong, absolutely. That it's the best thing he's ever done.
I hope to God you are wrong, but I bet you're not. You know. Have you told him the other thing?
Not yet. But I finished it.
Absolutely.
I worked down here last night till 3 o'clock this morning.
Well, how is it?
Oh, I don't dare think. It can't be as good as it seems to me.
Of course it can. Why shouldn't it be? Aren't you going to offer it to him right away, before it's too late?
How can I? It frightens me to pieces to even think of it. But, oh, my dear, it's alive and fresh and new. It is. If he only would take it, my idea, and put his wonderful work, his wonderful execution into it.
Perhaps he'll be fired with it. Jump at it.
I'm afraid he won't. And I'm afraid of this for him. It would nearly kill him to lose. He's counting on winning. Keith and everybody are so dead sure of him.
Show him yours, for goodness!
Be careful. He'll be back in a minute.
I'll skip upstairs and make myself presentable.
Go in my room, dear.
Ruth goes out through hall. Tom and Keith come back from workroom. Anne goes to Tom. They stand a moment, looking at the frieze. Anne slaps Tom on the back without speaking and goes on into workroom. Keith, after a pause.
I agree with you in general, Governor. But when it comes down to the girl you love and want to marry, it's different.
Why is it?
The world has got to have homes to live in. And who's going to make 'em if the women don't do it?
Tom, smiling at Keith tolerantly.
Oh, come.
Do you mean to say you wouldn't rather your sister Daisy was married and keeping her own house, instead of working here as your secretary?
But she isn't married, and she won't live with Anne and me unless it's a business proposition. I respect her tremendously for it. Tremendously.
Well, Daisy's a big, plucky, independent thing anyway. But Ruth's a little delicate. Fragile.
With a mind bigger than most of the men, you know.
Oh, mind be damned. I want a wife.
Daisy, coming in from the hall.
Oh, Tom, it's out here. How corking.
Daisy Hereford is 28, strong, wholesome, handsome, with the charm of health and freshness. She wears a severe serge gown and carries a pencil and stenographer's pad.
Well, sis, how do you like it?
I adore it. I hope you haven't any doubts now about winning.
Well, I've plenty of 'em, but somehow today it looks as if it stood a pretty good chance.
Chance. I never was so sure of anything in my life.
Daisy, maybe you know just what ought to be where with this stuff?
I've been itching to get at it. Let's put all the tools on that side.
I have started.
And throw the trash in here.
Pushing the box with her foot.
Can you help me now?
Yes. Tom, do you want me to write to the ward people about that marble again?
Yes, I do. Shake them up. Tell them if it isn't here by the 1st of the month, I won't take it.
Daisy, making a note in her notebook. Millicent Hereford rushes in from hall at left. Millicent is 16, pretty, eager, full of vitality and will, half child, half woman. She is charmingly dressed in an afternoon frock and picture hat, and is at the moment happy and exhilarated.
Father, where's Mother?
In the workroom. But you can't go in.
As Millicent starts to workroom.
Why not?
She's finishing something and said not to let anyone stop her.
Oh dear, I think I might. It's awfully important. Couldn't I just poke my head in the door a minute?
Not for a second.
Sakes, I wish Mother wouldn't work in my Christmas vacation. It's an awful bore. Don't you think she might stop a little while I'm at home, Aunt Daisy?
None of my business. Don't ask me.
If you ask me, yes, I think she might.
That's nonsense. Your mother's doing about everything that can be done to make your vacation a success, isn't she?
Yes, of course.
Then I don't see that there's any reason why she shouldn't be allowed a little time for herself.
But I want her now. Aren't my new pumps stemmy, Aunt Daisy?
Aren't they what?
Stemmy. Wake up, Aunt Daisy. Oh, the luncheon was gorgeous. All the girls were there, and the matinee was heavenly.
What play?
The Flame of Love. You needn't laugh, Father. It's the best play in town. The leading man is a peach. Honestly, he's the best-looking thing I ever saw in my life. We were all crazy about him. Belle Stevens took off her violets and threw them right at him. She makes me tired, though. I don't think 17 is so terribly much older than 16, do you, Aunt Daisy?
Daisy, still at the cupboard.
It depends on whether you're 16 or 17, how much older it is.
I don't care. I wouldn't wear a ring as big as hers if I had one. Oh, Aunt Daisy, may I borrow your earrings?
Going to Daisy.
Help yourself.
Thanks, you're a duck. I could combustulate you for that. How much longer do you think Mother will be, Daddy?
Couldn't say.
Well, tell her that I have to see her the minute she comes out. Don't forget.
She hurries off through hall.
She's grown up overnight somehow. I can't get used to it.
And she went away to school a few months ago, just a girl. Amazing, isn't it?
Not a bit. What do you expect? She's free now, cut loose. Boarding school does that pretty quickly.
I suppose so. And I suppose it's good for her.
Looking at the frieze, he goes into the workroom.
The governor's darn cheerful about the freeze today.
I should think he would be. It's great.
Keith and Daisy go on clearing out cupboard.
I'd give a good deal to know what Mrs. Hereford actually thinks of it.
Why, she loves it.
She looks at it with such a sort of, I don't know. I can't help wondering if she is so dead certain of it as the rest of us are.
I hope she doesn't discourage Tom. After all, he likes it, and he knows more about it than anybody else. Anne's criticism is wonderful, of course, but still Tom is the artist.
You're just as jealous for your brother as you can be, aren't you, Daisy? All right for the missus to be clever, but you want Tom to be supreme in everything, don't you?
He is.
Leaning over the box.
You're a brick. Daisy, have you ever been in love in your life?
What do you mean?
lifting her head, startled and embarrassed.
I've been thinking an awful lot lately about this business of married women working. What do you think of it? Now, honestly.
What difference does it make, what I think?
Of course, there's no reason on earth why you shouldn't be in it. You don't care a hang for men, and...
You mean men don't care a hang for me?
No, I don't. I don't mean that at all. But you're so independent, men are sort of afraid of you.
Oh, don't apologize. You mean I'm a plain practical girl meant to take care of myself?
Well, that's what you want to be, isn't it?
Never mind about me. Let's change the subject.
You needn't be so touchy. I talk awfully frank about my affairs, and you never say a word about yourself.
Why should I? I'm not interesting and you're not interested.
I am too. You're the best pal a fellow ever had. I don't know any other girl I could have worked with all this time, day in and day out, and not either been dead sick of or sort of, sweet on, in a way.
You needn't rub it in.
Why, Daisy, old girl, what is the matter? What in the dickens are you so huffy about?
Just let me and my idiosyncrasies alone, please.
Ha! Heavens! Can't I say what I think?
No, you can't. I don't want to hear it. I know just what I seem like to other people, so there's no use explaining me to myself.
All I meant was, if you were in love, would you give up your job and...
But I'm not in love, so stop thinking about it.
Gosh, I thought you had common sense, but you're just as queer as the rest of them. What I want to know is, if a girl loves a man well enough to marry him, why in hell she can't stay at home and...
What's the matter?
As Keith cuts his finger on the tool he is holding.
Did you cut your finger?
Not much.
Daisy, with a sudden tenderness.
Let me see.
It's nothing.
It is too. Hold still. I'll tie it up for you.
She ties his finger with her own handkerchief.
Anything that... Hold still. Anything the matter with one of your fingers would put you out of commission.
Might be a good idea. I don't think Ruth believes in me much. Doesn't think I'll get much farther.
I don't know why. I think you've got plenty for her to believe in. Well, speaking of angels, how are you, Ruth?
As Ruth comes in from the hall.
Oh, hello, dear.
Hello. What's the matter?
Nothing.
Keith was waxing emphatic about you and overemphasized a finger.
She turns back to cupboard. I'm sorry. Touching Keith's hand as he comes down to her.
How are you?
Dead. This day's been 24 hours long. Sitting at left end of table. Keith, coming down to Ruth.
Has anything gone wrong?
No, but a young author from the eloquent West has been fighting me since 9 o'clock this morning.
What about?
He's got a perfectly magnificent story. Or idea, for one, rather. But it's so crudely written that it's impossible to publish it.
I suppose you can rewrite it for him.
No, he won't let me. Wants to do it all himself. Oh, he's so stubborn and so funny and so splendid, so outlandishly conceited, and so adorably boyish. I wanted to slap him one minute and kiss him the next.
Why didn't you do both? And you'd have got what you wanted.
I was afraid to risk it. Keith, nodding towards Tom's frieze.
Doesn't that hit you in the eye?
Awfully like Tom, isn't it? Strong and splendid.
What are you thinking?
Oh, nothing. Only I wish Anne had gone in for this competition, too.
What?
Why on earth should she?
Why shouldn't she?
Ruth, you're daffy about Anne. Always have been.
She does beautiful work. For a woman. But ye gods, she's not in this class.
And she never will be if she's held back and told she's limited. I think she has genius, and the sooner she makes a bold dash and tries for something big, the better.
Nonsense. Tom's pushed her and believed in her always. You can't say he's held her back.
Ruth, to Keith, I've heard you say she has genius, lots of times.
So she has, in a way. She has more imagination than the governor. But great Peter, when it comes to execution and the real thing, she just isn't in it with him. How could she be? She's a woman.
Don't be any more antediluvian or prehistoric than you can help, Keith. Don't you think Anne's more original and really innately gifted than Tom is, Daisy?
I do not. She's terribly good. Of course, no doubt about that. But good Lord, Tom's great. A really great artist.
Daisy starts to hall door. Why do you go, Daisy?
Must. I have bushels of letters to get off.
You look as fresh and rosy as if you were just beginning the day. How do you do it?
Oh, I'm not expressing my soul in my job. Merely earning my bread and butter. I suppose that's why I look so husky at twilight.
Daisy goes out through hall. Ruth, looking after Daisy. Do you know, I don't believe Daisy likes me anymore. Keith, sitting on left end of table near Ruth.
Kiss me.
Ruth leans her head towards Keith. He kisses her cheek. She's so marvelously good-natured. Queer she's getting snappy at me lately.
I'm awfully glad you came.
Does it hurt? Touching his finger.
Not much.
I wonder why she doesn't like me.
What are you talking about? I'm asked to stay to dinner, too.
That's nice.
I can't bear to see you so tired, dear.
I'll be all right when I have some tea.
This time next year, you could be in your own home, away from those damnable office hours and the drudgery. If you only would. If you only would.
It never seems to occur to you that I might be a little less tired, but bored to death without my job.
If you really cared for me, the way you used to, you wouldn't be bored.
Oh, let's not begin that.
But do you love me, dear? Do you?
I've been telling you so for a pretty long time, haven't I?
Are you tired of it?
There isn't any reason on earth why you should think I am.
Well, I do think it. I worry about it all the time. I know you're brilliant and successful, but you... After you say you love me, and I don't see... You're awful pretty today. Your face is like a flower.
Oh.
Yes, it is. I love you so.
Dear old boy, I love you.
Oh, do you, Ruth? Do you?
I've never loved anyone else. You've filled all that side of my life, and you've made it beautiful. We must hang together, dear. Putting both her hands over one of his. And understand and give things up for each other. But it must be 50-50, dearest. I can make you happy, Keith. Oh, I can. And I'll be so happy and contented with you if you'll only... Keith turns away impatiently. I've never had a home for a minute, in my whole life, nor a relative since I was 3, of any sort or description. Not a soul who belonged to me but you.
I want you to have the sweetest little home in the world.
Think of having our own little dinners, and all the nice people we know at our table. Ours.
Yes, but how can you do it if you're away all day?
Oh, Keith, dear boy, you... The whole trouble is you think housekeeping is making a home, and the two things aren't the same at all. At all, at all.
Well, they can't be separated.
Oh, yes, they can. Love. Love makes a home, not tables and chairs. We can afford more if I work, too. We can pay someone to do the stuff you think I ought to do. And you'll go on climbing up in your work, and I'll go on in mine. And we'll both grow to something, and be somebody, and have something to give each other. It will be fair. We'll be pulling together. Pals and lovers, like Tom and Anne. That's why they're so ideally happy.
Yes, but we're different. We couldn't...
You're not fair, Keith.
Great guns, Ruth. Neither are you.
I am. I am perfectly. Their voices rise together. Tom, coming back from the workroom.
What's the row? Hello, Ruthie Creel.
Ruth, giving her hand to Tom. Hello, you nice Tommy Herford. I always lose my heart to you in your working clothes.
You have my heart in any kind of clothes.
Keith's cross with me, Tom. You're much nicer to me than he is.
You never spring any of your revolutionary speeches on Hereford. You save all your really soothing remarks for me.
Tom, am I a revolutionary? Aren't I just a little cooing dove?
Absolutely.
Daisy, coming in from hall.
Dr. Remington's here. Millicent's bringing him down. But he says he wants to sit upstairs on the parlor sofa, not down in the cellar. Tom, will you sign these letters now?
Daisy puts the letters on the table. Tom goes towards the table as Millicent comes in from the hall, bringing Dr. Remington by the hand. Dr. Remington is 65. He is inclined to portliness, and his keen humor and kindliness are combined with an understanding and wisdom which make him a very strong and a very lovable man. His manner and speech are a little deliberate. He has a twinkling readiness to tease, but the weight and dignity of a successful and important physician.
Hello, hello, hello.
How are you?
Keith, taking Remington's overcoat.
How are you, Dr. Remington?
Ruth comes to the door to take his hat and stick.
Hello, Mackenzie. And here's that pretty little Ruth thing. Knowing so much, it makes my head ache.
So long as it's your head and not mine, I don't mind.
Oh, thank you for the chocolates, Grandfather. They're just the kind I adore. I could absolutely combustulate you.
Giving him a violent hug.
5 pounds, Daddy.
You're a fine doctor.
Chocolate's about the best medicine I know of if you want a girl to love you. Where's your mother?
In the cave.
Pointing to workroom.
Can't she be excavated? Go and dig her out.
They won't let me. You do it.
Hasn't anybody got the courage to do it?
Keith starts towards the door with box.
Not me.
Well, Mackenzie, go and tell her to let the work go to thunder and come and see her dad.
Keith goes into workroom.
Is that the thing that's going to get the 100,000 for you?
Yes.
Well, go to it, boy. I hope you hit it.
Sitting in the large chair at left.
Thanks, I'm doing my darndest. Daisy, you've got some of these dimensions wrong. Keith will have to give them to you again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a good thing you're working for your own brother, Daisy. Nobody else would have you.
You're the only person in the whole world who isn't impressed with my business ability.
Stuff. I wager you say in your prayers every night, "Oh, Lord, deliver me from this job and get me a good husband."
Daisy, laughing with the others and going to Remington.
That's a very stemmy tie you're wearing. Do you get me?
Not exactly. All I know is I'd rather be stemmy than seedy.
Keith, opening the workroom door.
Don't you want me to carry that in for you, Mrs. Hereford?
Anne, from within.
No, I'd rather do it myself.
It's too heavy for you.
No, it isn't.
Anne comes in carrying the figure of a woman in the nude, about a foot high. The figure is in wet clay and stands on a modeling board.
Steady there. Steady. Let me take it.
Don't touch it.
Hello there.
Hello, Daddy. I couldn't come out until I finished my lady. Isn't she nice? She's ready to be cast now. Come and look at her, Tom. She isn't so bad.
She looks pretty good to me.
She looks a little chilly to me. Why don't you put a full suit of clothes on one of them, just for a change, Anne?
You nice, horrid, sweet, adorable, cross old thing. Why didn't you come yesterday? I don't know why I love you so when you never do anything I want you to.
If I did, I wouldn't be half as irresistible. Aren't you going to stop for the day now and pay a little attention to me?
I am.
Mother, when can I see you? Alone, I mean.
After a while. Have you had a nice day, dear?
Gorgeous, but I have to see you about something.
You do?
Holding Millicent.
Look at her, Dad. Hasn't she grown?
Mother, may I stay at home from school one more day?
Gracious. Is that what you want to see me about?
That's just one thing. Can't I, Mother? All the girls are staying over. Mayn't I, please, please?
I have to think a little. Let's wait and talk it over. Daisy, aren't we going to have some tea?
It will be ready in a minute.
Thank God, then we'll go upstairs.
No, down here. It's much nicer. You'll have to get used to it, Dad.
Well, you be thinking yes, for I've just got to stay over. I've just got to. It would be perfectly ridiculous if I didn't.
She goes out through hall. Remington, nodding after Millicent.
Getting more like you every day, Anne.
She's your grandchild, you know.
I like 'em that way. I'd rather she was stubborn as a mule than have a wabbly spine.
Anne, taking off her smock.
But a little wobbling once in a while is rather a pleasant thing to live with. For instance, it would make me very happy indeed if you wobbled enough to admit that this is a beautiful studio, and that having it in the house where we live is the most sensible thing in the world.
It would be all right if you'd stay upstairs and mind your own business. Tom, if you don't look out, you'll be so mixed up you'll be upstairs keeping house, and Anne will be downstairs keeping shop.
I don't know how I'd keep house, but Anne could keep shop all right.
Is that the way you feel about it, Mackenzie? When you're married, are you going to stay at home and polish up while Ruth goes on running the magazine?
It looks as if that's the way it'll have to be.
Ruth, bringing the cake down to table. That's a splendid suggestion, Dr. Remington. Keith thinks somebody's got to do it for a successful marriage. And I won't. So why not you, dear? Pointing at Keith. Keith looks at Ruth and turns away in hopeless disgust. Remington, winking at Ruth and lowering his voice to her.
Keep at it. He'll come to it.
Anne laughs as she cuts the cake.
I don't see that it's so funny.
Remington, going to table to get a piece of cake.
You bet it's not funny. Daisy, would you like your husband to wash the dishes if you happen to be too much occupied to do it yourself?
I'd kill him if he did.
Bringing the cream and sugar to large table.
Oh, well, with one perfectly normal woman in the room, I'm much more comfortable.
He settles himself elaborately in his chair at left.
I'm serious. I'd like to know if there's anything queer or preposterous in a fellow wanting a girl to give up hard, slavish work and let him take care of her when she marries him.
When she wants to do the work, don't leave that out.
I don't see that you, Keith, or any fellow, has any kick coming so long as the girl makes you happy.
I'd like to hear your angle on it, if you don't mind, Doctor.
Yes. Keith loves to hear his mid-Victorian ideas well supported.
Oh, I'm not so moth-eaten as I may look. In fact, I'm a damned sight more advanced than you women are. You're still yelling about your right to do anything on land or sea you want to do. We gave you that long ago.
So nice of you.
Ruth, sitting below the table at right. Why talk about it all, then? What else is there to it?
Put this in your pipe. The more women make good, the more they come into the vital machinery of running the world, the more they complicate their own lives, and the more tragedies they lay up for themselves.
The more they escape, you mean. Anne, as she pours the tea.
There isn't a single hard thing that can happen to a woman that isn't made easier by being able to make her own living. And you know it.
Oh, it's a hopeless subject for conversation. What everybody says is true. There's the rub.
2.
3.
Keith gives a cup of tea to Remington.
Go on, what were you going to say?
Yes, go on, Dad.
Remington, to Anne.
You hang on to yourself then till I get through. The development of women hasn't changed the laws of creation.
Oh, yes, it has.
Remington looks at her.
Sorry. Go on.
Sex is still the strongest force in the world.
He looks at Anne again. Anne, smiling.
Go on.
And no matter how far she goes, she doesn't change the fundamental laws of her own...
Individuality?
Type.
Character?
Ego.
Psychology.
Species.
Breed.
Spots.
No, mechanism. Mechanism. And when the sensitive, involved, complex elements of a woman's nature become entangled in the responsibility of a man's work, and the two things fight for first place in her, she's got a hell of a mess on hand.
But her psychological mechanism has changed.
No.
Yes.
Yes, I think it has.
It couldn't.
But it has. Women who are really doing things nowadays are an absolutely different breed from the one-sided domestic animals they used to be.
But men don't realize how deeply and fiercely creative women love their work.
That's just it. Just what I'm getting at. A woman of genius puts in her work the same fierce love she puts into her child or her man. That's where her fight is, for one or the other of 'em has got to be the stronger in her. It isn't a question of her right to do things, nor her ability. God knows, plenty of 'em are beating men at their own jobs now. Why, I sometimes think she'll go so far that the great battle of the future will be between the sexes for supremacy. But I tell you, she has tragedies ahead of her, the tragedy of choice between the two sides of her own nature.
Well, thank you. I'll take any and all of the hard things that go with my job, but none of the ones that come from being a dub and giving it up.
How about you, Daisy? Could any man on earth make you stop typewriting and live for him alone?
Oh, I'm not in this class. Anne and Ruth both have men to depend on if they want them. I'm taking care of myself because I've got to. And I must say, this soul tragedy of choice stuff makes me a little tired.
She starts toward Hall. Remington, stopping Daisy by taking her hand.
If I were 20 or 30 years younger, I'd go in for you strong.
Yes, I know. I'm just the kind that older men appreciate very deeply.
She goes out.
Poor Daisy.
Poor Daisy. She's the happiest, most independent thing in the world.
Straightening the things on the table, Keith having taken the tea tray away. Much to be envied. No strings to her independence.
And so cocky and spunky. Nobody can even ask her if she's ever been in love.
Sure sign she has been, then.
But she never has.
How do you know?
I've been pretty close to her all my life. No blighted bud about Daisy.
She's putting up a darn good bluff, I must say.
Bluff? What do you mean?
Father thinks there isn't a girl alive who wouldn't rather have a beau than a job.
I do. And Daisy looks so self-reliant, she has to be cocky to keep up appearances. Under her skin, she's not half the man that little ladylike-looking thing Ruth is.
Now, Dr. Remington, you may go upstairs.
I haven't time now. I've wasted it all down here.
Oh, come and look at the living room just a minute. It's too beautiful.
Has it got a carpet on it yet?
Yes, absolutely finished.
Because I don't mind saying my feet are like ice from this confounded brick floor.
Oh, the beautiful tiles.
I'll take a little less Italian beauty and a little more American comfort in mine.
Ruth, Remington, and Keith go out through Hall. Tom, stopping Anne as she starts with the others.
Anne, about this thing. Why in the name of heaven didn't you say you were disappointed in it long ago?
I kept hoping each day I was mistaken, that what I missed would come back. But when I saw it out there, I'm afraid of it, Tom.
Afraid of what? That I'll fail? Lose it?
Anne nods.
Nonsense. You're tired of it. There can't be such a change in it as all that. The idea is absolutely the same, and I've worked as I never...
I know. But, oh, the beauty of the work. That's the pity.
Pity?
I mean, somebody without half your skill as an artist may have an idea that's new.
Oh, bosh. Nothing can be done anyhow. It's too late. Besides, I don't agree with you. I honestly do not, Anne. I know you're saying that because you're trying to boost me and get the best out of me, but the thing's done, you know. Don't confuse me. I must get on now. What's the use of talking about it? It's too late.
No, it isn't.
It is. Of course it is. You can't expect me to begin all over again and put into it a subtle, intangible something I don't even feel. Damn it! It will have to fail then.
Anne, taking hold of Tom quickly.
It can't. You've got to win, Tom. You've got to. It's the most important thing you've ever done. Think of where it will put you. Think of the money.
I have thought. I've done the best that is in me, I tell you. It is the best, the very best I've ever...
But it isn't. It isn't. It isn't as great as your last two things.
Oh?
Tom, listen. You don't know how hard it is to say it. I'd rather you won this than anything that could possibly happen. You know that, don't you?
Of course. But this isn't getting anywhere. It will have to go in as it stands.
Wait, I've wanted to talk to you about something for a long time, but I wasn't sure. And now I am.
Well?
Millicent, coming back through hall.
Thank goodness, Mother, I can't wait any longer.
Anne, to Millicent.
Oh, just a minute, dear.
No, that's all right. There's nothing more to be said.
I appreciate what you mean. Yes, I do. But it doesn't get me. And all I can do is to go after it as I see it.
He goes into workroom. Anne stands looking at the frieze. Millicent, pulling Anne toward table.
Mother, come here. Mother, please. Why, what I wanted to... Sit down.
Putting Anne into a chair above the long table.
Every one of the girls are staying over tomorrow. It looks as if you were having such a slow time that you didn't have anything to do but go back to school if you didn't stay. And I want... Why, Fanny's going to have a party tomorrow night. Just a little one, and I want to have 8 of them to dinner first.
Sitting at right end of table.
Oh.
Only 8? You see, Fanny's brother's home, too, and, you see, it's... Everybody has dinners and things before they go out to the dance, you know, and... Will you, Mother? Can't I?
But, dearest, you've done so much since you've been home. You can't get back to school too soon. New York is dreadful. It really is. The sensible mothers can't compete with the idiotic ones who let girls do all these silly things.
Oh, don't be foolish, Mother.
And school does begin tomorrow, and they expect...
They don't expect us to be back. All the really smart girls stay over. It's only the deadly slow ones who are there on time. Please, Mother, please, there'll only be 8 of us, and Fanny's done so much for me. I think it's as little as I could do to have her brother to dinner, don't you?
Is he nice?
Yes, he is. He's older, you know, and more fun. He got full dress clothes this Christmas, long tails, you know, and he looks perfectly... Oh, Mother, you're not listening.
Anne's eyes have gone back to the frieze again.
Yes, I am, dear. Yes, I am. Full dress clothes.
Well, may I?
Dearest, I may be frightfully busy tomorrow. I may have to do the most important thing I've ever done in my life, and if I do, it would be awfully hard to have...
Oh, now, Mother... Fanny's mother had a party or something for her every single night. She took her to the plaza to dance after the matinee today, and I've never been to a hotel or anywhere exciting in my life. You try to keep me so young, Mother, and Jiminy Cricket, I'm 16.
Positively ancient.
Well, 16's old enough for anything. Will you, Mother, please, please?
Kissing her mother's throat.
But what would I do if I had to do this other thing?
What other thing? Can't it wait?
No, it can't. That's just it. Your father I may be working with him all day tomorrow.
You needn't have such a terribly elaborate dinner, you know, but I'm crazy to do it. In fact, I just have to. I've already asked most of them, and they're dying to come.
You didn't, kitten. How could you?
But, Mother, it's so important, and I don't see how I can get out of it now. You wouldn't want me to be compromised or anything, would you?
Anne, laughing and kissing Millicent.
You blessed baby. You ought to be spanked.
You're an angel, Mummy. You will, won't you?
Putting her cheek against Anne's.
What have you got in your ears?
Earrings, of course.
Heavens, take them off.
Oh, Mother, all the girls wear them.
Take them off.
But they have so much style.
Style your granny. Take them off or I'll bite 'em off.
Millicent squirms and giggles as Anne bites her ears.
Wait! I will. I think you're mean to make me. You have such terribly strict ideas.
Your ears are much prettier than these things. Can't you understand that nothing is so attractive as just being natural? Why cover up with stuff like this?
You are funny. You'll stay at home and meet everyone tomorrow night, won't you? I want them to see you. You are sweet, Mummy.
Do you love me a lot?
Of course.
Kissing Anne. Anne, rising suddenly and going to look at the frieze.
Oh, I am so unhappy.
Why? What's the matter? I should think you'd be tickled to death if Father's going to get all that money.
Tom, coming in from the workroom quickly.
You say...
He stops, seeing Millicent.
Aren't you coming up, now, to plan it all?
In a few.
Go on, Millicent.
Millicent skips out.
Why didn't you speak the minute you saw it go wrong? Or thought you did?
I was never sure. Until today, dear.
I don't agree with you at all, but still, it isn't exactly inspiring, knowing you think I'm going to fail.
Tom, I'm sorry.
It's all right. But you know I care more about what you think than anybody in the world, and it's sort of a knockout.
I had to tell you the truth when I was sure. I had to. Tom, listen. Since you've been working at this, an idea has come to me. At first I thought the idea was too big for me, that I never could carry it out. And then I said, I won't let myself be afraid. And it's grown and grown, night and day. Last night I finished it, down here.
The
drawings. I want you to look at them. And if you like it, if you think the idea is better than yours, I want you to take it. Use it instead of yours.
Why, Anne, you're not serious.
She nods.
Good heavens, child. You know how tremendous this thing is as well as I do.
Yes, I do. But I tell you my idea is big. Oh, I knew you'd look like that when I told you. You can't believe it, of course. But Tom, it's there. Something vital and alive, with a strange charm to it. And I offer it to you, dear, if you want it.
Tom, taking her in his arms strongly and kissing her passionately.
You generous darling. It's like you to do this. You dear, I love you for it.
Anne, responding warmly to his love.
I want you to have it. It's more than I ever dared dream I could do.
But darling, you couldn't possibly do anything for a scheme as big as this.
Why do you take that for granted? Why do you say that before you've even seen my sketches?
Tom, after a pause.
Well, where are they?
Anne, taking a key out of her pocket.
In the lower drawer of my cupboard.
Tom, taking the key.
No, don't come with me.
But
I don't want you to explain anything. I want it to strike me fresh. But I'm going to hit it hard, right from the shoulder. If it's good, all right. If it's bad, all right. And I expect you to take it like a man.
Anne nods. Tom hurries into workroom as Ruth comes in from hall. Have you told him?
Yes. He's gone to look at my sketches now.
Anne, I've been thinking. You're a fool to give away your ideas. Make your models and send them in yourself.
What?
Certainly. Why not?
Oh, Ruth, I couldn't. Someday I will. Someday.
Someday? You've got the biggest idea you've ever had. Do it. Send it in. Yourself. On your own feet.
Tom would think I was out of my...
You know it's good, don't you?
Yes, I do.
It belongs to you. And if you don't take care of it and give it its chance, you kill something which is more important than you are. Don't forget that. You're not just the talented woman. You've got downright genius, and you ought to make everything give way to that. Everything. If you don't, you're weak.
Wait and see what Tom says. He'll know. He's so dead right about my stuff. Always.
Oh, you lucky people. Pulling together. If Keith only had a little of it towards me. Anne, what shall I do? Anne, with quick sympathy.
What, dear?
He's never, never, never going to know what a sacrifice it will be for me to stop, just as I'm getting what I've slaved and struggled for all these years. And I can't bear to hurt him.
Dear old Keith. He just can't see. And he loves you so.
Keith, coming in from hall.
Why did you come back down here?
Just to run away from you. No, I didn't. Going to him sweetly. You know I didn't. Anne, as Daisy comes in from hall.
Daisy, tell me the minute Tom comes out.
Keith, to Ruth.
I'll be back in a minute. I've got to cover some stuff in there.
Exit Anne and Ruth.
You're a wonder, Daisy. You don't mind sitting up late to get your letters off, do you?
Oh no, I'm healthy.
You're a peach. I'm sorry I made you huffy. All I meant was that no man would ever think he could ask you to marry him unless he had an awfully big bankroll to offer.
Remington comes in from hall to get his hat and stick, just in time to hear Keith's last remark. Daisy rises, consciously. Keith goes into workroom. Remington goes to end of table.
I suppose that speech sounded rather queer. He was talking about Ruth, of course.
Don't apologize or you'll make me suspicious.
Now,
It sounded very much as if he were making love to you.
oh,
I wish to God he would. You'd be a much better wife for him than the other one.
you...
You know you would. Why don't you go in and get him? Cut the other one out.
How dare you say such a thing to me?
Why shouldn't I say it?
Because you have no right to. I haven't the slightest interest in Keith Mackenzie. Not the slightest.
No, I can see that.
What do you mean?
Remington, suddenly understanding.
Why, my dear girl, I didn't mean anything. I'm sorry.
I don't know why in the world you said such a thing to me.
Well, forget it.
You don't think from anything I've ever done or said.
I don't think anything. I don't know anything.
I don't see why you said it.
Anne, coming from hall.
What's the matter?
As Daisy breaks away from Remington, who is holding her by the wrists.
Let me go, please. I'm in a hurry.
Daisy rushes out through hall.
What on earth are you doing to Daisy?
She's doing things to me,
What?
convincing me of some of my old-fashioned ideas.
Tom rushes in from the workroom with a large roll of drawings.
And they're wonderful.
Oh, Tom.
Tom, spreading the roll of sketches on the table, Anne helping him.
Beautiful. Astoundingly beautiful. Well, as I know you, I didn't think you had it in you.
I can't believe it. Are you going to use it?
Oh, my dear girl, that's different. Now don't be hurt. Why, Anne, it isn't possible. You're mistaken. Way off. I don't know what's got into you. This is imaginative and charming and graceful, full of abandon and fantasy and even vitality. But ye gods, child, it isn't in this class.
But you could strengthen it. It will grow. You'll see more in it. Really, you will. Don't make up your mind yet.
What are you talking about? What has she done?
Drawings for a frieze, like this. And they're amazing, Doctor. Positively amazing.
You don't say.
Wait, let's see what Mackenzie says. Mackenzie?
Anne, pounding on the workroom door.
Keith, come here quickly.
Looks beautiful to me, daughter. When did you do all this? Do you mean to say you didn't know anything about it, Tom?
Not a thing. She's been...
Keith comes in.
Here, Mackenzie, look at this. Here's a scheme Mrs. Hereford's worked out. Begins here. See? See? Get it? What do you think?
Mrs. Hereford?
Yes. Do you get it?
Of course.
Well, what do you say?
I say it's as beautiful as anything I ever saw.
Great. And what do you think of it for a big place like mine?
For that?
Yes.
Oh, too fanciful, isn't it? Would the crowd understand it? Needs a big, clear, striking thing like that, don't you think?
Then you don't think it's as good as mine for this competition?
As yours? Heavens, no.
Anne, standing at right, facing the three men.
Then, do you know what I'm going to do?
What?
Make my models and send them in myself.
What?
Why not?
You don't mean it, daughter.
I do. I mean it with my whole soul.
Why would you want to do anything so foolish?
Because I made it. Because it's my work. You all say it's good. Why shouldn't I send it? I don't mind failure. I only want it to stand its little chance with the rest. I love it. It means more to me than I can possibly. Why shouldn't I? I want to.
Then do it. Why not? It's your own affair. Go ahead.
Putting out the hand of a good palship to her.
Oh, Tom, thank you. You're splendid.
The curtain falls. End of Act 1.